Good morning. This is William Robinson with viralhair.com, and today we're speaking to.
Hello, my name is Kamau Vassall, and I am the creator of a game called Gravity's Edge that I've been working on for the last little bit over a year now. And it's just a fantastical game that I can't wait to share more details with you guys. A lot of passion went into this project, and I think it's exciting and yeah, lots of fun.
I do too. I looked at the gameplay trailers and some other stuff, and it looks really neat. And one thing you talk about is Afro-punk aesthetic. Now, I'm familiar with Afrofuturism, like stuff George Clinton had his works, and then of course you had Black Panther movies or depiction of Wakanda. And so I have that kind of terminology. I understand that aesthetic. But how does the Afro-punk aesthetic work? Is it kind of like steampunk offshoot, or how would you look at it?
Yeah. So that's a good way of saying it. It's kind of a steampunk offshoot. It's set in space, but they're at the edges of space, and where they are, you can kind of imagine some of the more popular shows of our era, like let's say Firefly, or let's say something like The Expanse, where they're just at the outskirts. And so where they are, it just happens to have a lot more of a certain aesthetic and cultural themes. And so the characters talk a certain way, and act a certain way, and just certain things going on in terms of like the design of areas and the building set. Um, which of course, this is all like the backing underlying tone, right? Like the gameplay is the gameplay. It's totally
Right,
different.
right. I understand.
It's a game that, most people probably haven't seen. It's a unique sort of experience in that sense. But yeah, the tonal keys, for lack of a better word, is definitely Afro-punk. And then there's, yeah, so the way the characters talk, and there's also the symbology in the game. Everybody might mistake some of the symbology as like being like, oh yeah, these are just cool new symbols, or maybe these are Chinese symbols, but no, these are all like West African symbols. If you were to pay attention to all the symbology in the game, you'd be like, oh, okay, like um, is this from somewhere? And the answer is yes.
Pretty nifty. So, kind of, you created a fun game for everyone. Anyone can play, and it has different game physics. The way you've done it, but also a way to kind of have your own lore or your own backing to add to the game. That's pretty deep. That's nicely done, like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So I created the game from scratch, so to speak, where like yeah, I'm handling and creating all the physics so that the just because I wanted everything to be fine-tuned exactly the way that I wanted, just to help convey what it would be like to be in outer space. So you can fling around planets, and there's all these different planet types. Some planets explode on fire, some planets are icy, some planets move, some planets are orbiting, and some planets are rotating. Like anything I can think of, I tried to like make sure I jam-packed all the different types of celestial bodies that might exist out there.
now look at some of the gameplay, and if I'm misinterpreting this, I apologize. Some of the stuff looks like I know all the trajectories are planned, but still looks a little bit like how a trick pull shot would work in someone, where someone jumps from one planet to the other, hoping they can bounce off this and get caught back around. Uh, it was some of the physics you planned in, like based on real world ideas. You kind of translated to the game that aspect.
Yeah, yeah. So I just try to take as many real world ideas about planets and physics that I possibly could. And then of course keep it interesting, right? We're so used to gravity that we don't notice it in our everyday life. And yet my game's called Gravity's Edge, so I can't just make it about like you're on a planet and nothing interesting is happening. So try to take all the interesting parts of gravity and emphasize that for sure, as well as some other things like black holes are in it. Um, and some other experimental physics concepts that I don't want to spoil, but
Of
some
course.
quantum physics stuff might be in the game. Um, so I just try to take as many real life physics situations and then mix them up, put them in interesting spots to keep the player always interested in not knowing what's going to happen next.
Right. Well, it looks like you have a different interest in video games, but was part of this also kind of pushed by an interest you also have in astronomy and physics before you actually did the game itself?
That's right. So some of that, yes. As I mentioned, some of the shows, right? Like obviously, I watched those shows, so I'm a huge fan of shows like Battlestar Galactica, Firefly, and
Both
Serenity.
awesome concepts.
Um, Star Wars, Star Trek, and The Expanse. Um, so I'm a huge fan of those shows. And then in terms of games, I'm a huge fan of various space games. But like, let's just say, for instance, Outer Wilds or something like that. So there's quite a few inspirations in terms of like what helped bring the physics to the table. And then you might notice on the character's back, he has a Dinker symbol. Uh, and it's showing like the eye of the universe. I even had that as a headboard uh, for my bed when I used to go to sleep. So basically, it's the eye of the universe. It just represents the whole universe and the cosmos and stuff like that. So I am a little bit of cosmos focus. Speaking of cosmos, the show Cosmos.
Right.
Um, so yes, I would say space is definitely the hugest influence there when it comes to this game, for sure.
That's that's awesome. And also, I'm just saying, as a Gen X guy, growing up with the set up console games and the early like a Lunar Lander, those type of gravity games,
Mhm.
that I am going to try to clear out some space pretty soon so I can take a run at this myself because I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels because to me it has like almost a it's a cross generational appeal, but in a way it does because the way you've done the graphics and you kind of make it even with the lore you have, you've kind of made it open to anyone to enjoy. And I really like the aspect of it. Was that a conscious choice or something just because you just that's kind of where you are because the friends you have or background you have?
No, I sort of all so yeah. Not to age myself, but yes, I grew up playing games from the 80s, even a few from the 70s. But I've always had an interest in maintaining what I thought was interesting ideas and aesthetics from that era. The era that the game sort of, let's say, aesthetically is from is more like the 2000s, sort of like almost the Flash era.
Right,
So it's not all the way pixely and retro like the 80s and 90s, but it's also not all the way like, modern in terms of its aesthetics. So it's definitely coming from that era. And that was an intentional choice because I'm targeting a certain demographic of players. I'm targeting majority of players. I want someone to have any reason to play the game. Let's say you're into space. Let's say you're into, again, some of the Afropunk themes. The story is about a kid trying to find his father. So maybe the story intrigues you of just going out and exploring and trying to find what's going on in this universe.
right.
Um, and there's a whole separate survival mode that I was talk about at some point as well. So I'm just trying to present it all well, but bring in people from various walks. And one of the reasons is yeah, like I wanted that aesthetic, and I think that's charming to uh, people in their 20s and 30s
Yeah,
and 40s. Yeah.
just mentioned the survival mode. Um, that's got probably more intense structure of gameplay, more of a difficulty level.
Yeah, so that one's definitely more difficult, definitely more intense, definitely more survival and horror. I mean, not too much horror,
Right,
but more like, okay, what's this broken down station mean? Or what is this written message on a wall? So you're basically in that mode. You're just you and a buddy too, because that one has co-op. You're set off in the same sort of universe of planets and the whole nine yards, but now you can like explore sectors one by one as you venture off, the enemies get harder and harder and stronger and stronger. But then, you get abilities and upgrades and the whole nine yards as the more and more that you play. Um, and so yeah, your goal there is to figure out, what happened and why all these enemies appearing in this mode. And there's like little messages and secrets and Easter eggs even hidden throughout everywhere. I try to make everything even in that mode very, very unique so that you're not just like, oh, okay, here's just a gun up, here's generic gun upgrade X. Like it's each upgrade is unique, each message that you might find is unique, each Easter egg is very different. Like
Hmm.
trying to make it just a very interesting. Every time you play, you're like, whoa, this is something different type of mode.
Now, I found what you said about survival mode and what you described pretty neat because I actually found your table at a con highlighting the aliens cast, and that was all about mystery, getting into bases and stuff. So
Yeah,
that's too neat of a parallel. Uh,
yeah.
that's really cool. Now, after Gravity, do you have other games connected to Gravity, or other ideas you have for different games down the road you're looking at?
Well, what I would want to really do in this game is expand some more maps
Right.
for the survival mode if people are into that. Because right now it has, single player, two-player split screen, couch co-op. It even has Twitch integration for Twitch streamers if they're interested in that. But I think one of the things I might want to do is just add more level. Like the level is very, very big. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. Uh, I've had people beat story mode, but I don't have had anybody beat survival. It's such a big, expansive, and
Right.
maybe it's also got a little difficulty curve. Um, but I still want to give more and more things for players to do. The more you have to do, the more the better things are. So I just want to add more and more interesting things, I think, to probably to a new map that would come like a month after the game releases. And then after that, yes, I have other game plans in mind.
Awesome. And like the work I've seen so far, I'm looking forward to those, see what those can do as well, because the way in just my opinion, and done some PC gaming and a little bit console over the years, um, to make it seem so simple, even in the story mode, but kind of have that. Oh, by the way, there's this gravity well over here. You don't know, or you got to look out for. It definitely is a great challenge, and it kind of makes you think about if you actually listen to math stuff in high school because just that's there and it's not overwhelming. It seems like it's very much let you think while you're playing. You're not so bombarded by by the type of graphics you have. You actually think while you're playing, and I think that's a very cool way you've laid this game out, or the way you've done this, because so many modern games are in your face, boom, 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 shoot it up, and hope everything goes well. And you, sir, have come up with something I think is very unique in just the fact that you have to think while you play.
Yeah,
And
to me the pacing and kind of the exploration. So the game is about exploration, whether or not you're in survival or story.
right,
And so when I thought of like the pacing, Zelda comes to mind first, and I'm talking about Zelda 1,
okay,
where
yeah,
you're just boom, you're in a world, and you don't even know that you could bomb walls or anything, right? You don't know which direction to go. You're just a dude in the middle of the big map, and yeah, there's a cave at the beginning that says, take this, right, and gives you a sword. But other than that, you're just sort of like left up to your own decisions on where to go, what dungeons to go to, and what bosses to fight, in what order. You're sort of left to go figure that out. Now, if Zelda was to re-release today, it wouldn't release like how it was in the first one. It'd
right.
be more like Breath of the Wild or one of the more modern ones, and those are really good, great, great games. Um, but mine's still a 2D, and you're jumping from planets to planets with gravity and stuff. So I am trying to make you feel curious and feel like everywhere you go, there's something to be discovered and something to try out.
Well, I think along those lines, people should take the time to go to the Steam, um, do a search for Gravity's Edge on whatever as a search engine and try it out themselves because it definitely sparks curiosity and it has a uniqueness very much on its own. And I'd love to see it expand more and become very successful, sir. This is really
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you go on Steam and you search for Gravity's Edge, you'll find the game. Give it a wish list so that Steam knows that people are interested in games about physics or let's say Afropunk or any of the things I mentioned, right? The retro art style or any of that. If any of that interests you, let Steam. The best way to let Steam know is to go on Steam and add it to wish list.
All right, all right, sir. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.